Thank you so much for watching my YouTube channel and subscribing to it. Today I'm going to talk about the jurisdiction provision as far as 498A matters are concerned. Today I will discuss about Rupali Devi judgment, which came a couple of years back and which laid down a very significant principle with respect to a 498A case. Can it be filed in the jurisdiction where the parental home of the victim wife is situated, or should it survive only in the matrimonial home of the victim wife? Now, the question was whether a woman forced to leave her matrimonial home on account of acts and conduct that constitute cruelty can initiate and access the legal process within the jurisdiction of the courts, where she is forced to take shelter, that is with the parents or other family members. This was the primary question which was decided by a 3-judges bench of the Honorable Supreme Court in Rupali Devi versus State of Uttar Pradesh and others. Now, this matter pertained to 498A case, which was filed under the jurisdiction of where the parental home of the victim wife was situated, and the crime, however, was committed against the victim wife in the matrimonial house, which was situated in a different jurisdiction. So, let us examine as to how the Apex Court dealt with it. There had been previous to this judgment numerous judgments of the Apex Court which had come and which had held that if on account of cruelty which is committed to a wife in the matrimonial home, and subsequent to such cruelty if she takes shelter in the parental home, and if the jurisdiction of both the homes are different, and if there is no specific act of commission of cruelty in the parental home that can be attributed to the husband or his relatives, then the initiation of proceedings under section 498A in the courts having jurisdiction in the area where the parental home is situated will not be permissible. So therefore, anybody who would then go to the parental home, let's say it was situated in a different state and the matrimonial home was situated in a different state, had then was required to come back to the matrimonial home jurisdiction and file a 498A case. Now, typically in matters where there were no allegations made on behalf of the aggrieved wife that any overt act of cruelty or harassment had been caused to her at the parental home after she had left the matrimonial home, it was very difficult to ascertain the jurisdiction or to call out the jurisdiction of the parental home. Now, it was held that the offence of cruelty having been committed in the matrimonial home, the same does not amount to a continuing offence which was committed, and that it could not be treated that it was a continuing offence committed in the parental home to which the to which place the aggrieved wife may have later shifted. Now, this conflict was also, if we see, became evident in a Sujata Mukherjee case where there was a specific allegation that the husband, after committing acts of cruelty in the matrimonial home, had also gone to the parental house of the wife where she had taken temporary shelter and had assaulted her there in the parental house as well. So, on the said facts, this court, that is the Apex Court in Sujata Mukherjee, held that the offence is a continuing offence, and this will fall under section 178C of the Criminal Procedure Code. Similarly, there was another case which was of a lot of significance, was the Sunita Kumari case. In this case, there was an allegation that the wife was ill-treated by her husband, and the husband then leaves her at her parental home, and further that the husband made no inquiries whatsoever about her thereafter. Then there was also a further allegation that when the wife had tried to contact the husband, he had not responded, and therefore looking into the facts of this case, the Honorable Supreme Court took the view that the consequences of the offence under section 498A have occurred at the parental home as well, because she was left back at the parental home, and despite her trying to get in touch, the husband never responded. Therefore, the court at that place, that is the court at the parental home, would have jurisdiction to take cognizance of the offence alleged in view of section 179 of the CRPC. Now, similarly, there was another very interesting case, which was State of MP versus Suresh Kaushal, where the victim wife has a miscarriage which was caused at Jabalpur, which was her parental home, and this was as a result of the cruelty which was meted out to her in the matrimonial home. So, it was held by the Honorable Supreme Court that the court at the place of the parental home of the wife would have jurisdiction to entertain the complaint under section 179 CRPC. Now, whether in a case where cruelty had been committed in a matrimonial home by the husband or the relatives of the husband, and the wife leaves the matrimonial home and takes shelter in parental home located at a different place, would the court situated at the place of the parental home of the wife have the jurisdiction to entertain the complaint under section 498A? Now, this was primarily in a situation where there was no overt act of cruelty or harassment alleged to have been committed by the husband at the parental home where the wife had taken temporary shelter. Now, it is important to look at the provisions of chapter 13 of CRPC, which is dealing with the jurisdiction of criminal court in inquiries and trials. Now, if we look at section 177 of CRPC, it contemplates that every offence shall ordinarily be inquired into and tried by a court within whose local jurisdiction it was committed. So, it is therefore clear that in normal course, it is the court within whose local jurisdiction the offence is said to be committed, and that specific court would have the power and the authority to take cognizance of the offence in question. Now, section 178 creates an exception to the ordinary rule which is engrafted in section 177 by permitting the courts in another local area where the offence is partly committed to take cognizance. Now, also if the offence committed in one local area continues in another local area, the courts in the latter place would be competent to take cognizance of the matter. But when we look at section 179, if by any reason of the consequences emanating from a criminal act an offence is occasioned in another jurisdiction, the court in that jurisdiction would also be competent to take cognizance. Thus, if an offence is committed partly in one place and partly in another jurisdiction, or if we argue that if the offence is a continuing offence, or where the consequences of a criminal act result in an offence being committed at another jurisdiction, which basically would here mean that the parental house, the exception to the ordinary rule would be attracted, and very importantly, the courts within whose jurisdiction the criminal act is committed will cease to have any exclusive jurisdiction to try the offence. So, in the case of a continuing offence, there is thus the ingredient of continuance of an offence which is absent in the case of an offence which takes place when an act or omission is committed once and for all. So, if we look at section 498A of the Indian Penal Code, we realize that it was introduced by the Criminal Law Second Amendment Act in 1983, and the object behind the aforesaid amendment was undoubtedly to ensure that the increasing cases which were committed against women, the cruelty which was committed by the husband and the relatives of the husband on the wife, it was extremely important that an amendment was brought in order to ensure that the commission of suicides or grave injury, dowry deaths which were being caused, all of this could be dealt with in a much stronger manner, and the harassment which was meted out to the wife so as to coerce her or any person related to her to meet any unlawful demand, that is, let's say, dowry demands or any unlawful demand pertaining to property. All of this could be, there could be a greater sanction which could be imposed upon. Now, it is important to understand what is the definition of cruelty. Cruelty is the crux of offence under section 498A of the IPC and is defined in Black's Law Dictionary to mean the intentional and malicious infliction of mental or physical suffering on a living creature, especially a human, any abusive treatment, or an outrage, that is abuse, inhuman treatment, indignity, etc. Now, cruelty can be both physical or mental cruelty. So, the emotional distress or psychological effect on the wife, if not the physical injury, is bound to continue to traumatize the wife even after she leaves the matrimonial home and takes shelter at her parental home. So, even if the acts of physical cruelty were committed in the matrimonial house and may have ceased as a result of her being in the parental home, there can be no doubt that the mental trauma and the psychological distress which is caused by the acts of husband, including verbal exchanges, if any, that had compelled the wife to leave the matrimonial home and take shelter with her parents, would continue to persist at the parental home. So, therefore, mental cruelty born out of physical cruelty or abusive and humiliating verbal exchanges would continue in the parental home even though there may not be any overt physical act at such place. Now, the adverse effects of mental health in the parental home, though on account of the acts committed in matrimonial home, would basically amount to commission of cruelty within the meaning of section 498A at the parental home. Now, the consequences of the cruelty committed at the matrimonial home results in repeated offences being committed at the parental home. This is the kind of offences contemplated under section 179 CRPC, which would squarely be applicable in cases such as we've discussed today. The courts at the place where the wife takes shelter after leaving or driven away from the matrimonial home on account of acts of cruelty committed by the husband or his relatives would be, would, dependent on the factual situation, also have jurisdiction to entertain a complaint alleging commission of offences under section 498A of the Indian Penal Code. So, this is by and large the discussion that I wanted to do. There have been innumerable matters where 498A cases have been filed in the jurisdiction of the parental home. However, they have been dismissed for lack of jurisdiction, and therefore Rupali Devi judgment can actually come in handy for people who have been arguing such a matter. I hope you will find this video to be useful, and thank you so much for your time and watching this video. Do like my video and subscribe to it, and if possible do share my video. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.